Season 39, War number 1, and we're up against DSVG. This time my team will be Tigra, Omega Sentinel, and Valkyrie. Kitty Pryde is banned, which is not really a surprise considering the global this time, so I probably won't be getting to use her that much this season. I'm taking Path 1 in Section 1 as well as the Fixit and Doctor Doom, Path 5 in Section 2 as well as the Tigra and Thing, and lastly Bishop and Modok mini-bosses. Starting this season pretty light with only 9 fights, but 5 of those are gonna be with Valkyrie, and that's awesome. I absolutely love using her. I do hope I get to use her a lot this season. Starting off, we have a Havok on the Masochism Overtime node, and I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, starting with the heal block debuff mode active. So, the idea with this fight is that Omega Sentinel, with her armor up buffs, doesn't take any damage from the plasma detonation, and with the heal block debuff, you completely shut down the Masochism regeneration. So, on paper, this is a very simple, very easy, and a very safe fight, but I mess it up very bad. So while Omega Sentinel doesn't take any damage from the plasma detonation, she is not immune in any way to the feedback damage that you will take if you eat a heavy attack, and that is exactly what I did here. Now I do run max inequity, so his attack is reduced by 36%, but even then that feedback is hurting a lot. Now I did survive, but that is not a fun way to start a season. I was shaking a little bit after I was done with that one, because that can't happen. But instead of being smart and taking a small break here, I went straight in for my next fight, which is a Fixit on the Masochism Overtime and Strike Counter Fury nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. The game plan is to just only hit into Fixit's block, and I did use an advanced power boost to speed things up a bit to get that special 2 faster, but that's not necessary. By doing the fight this way, you do not consume any of your strike counter charges, so he will not be stacking up any of those furies. Also, Masochism will not trigger since you are not parrying at all, and Valkyrie doesn't trigger any debuffs through the block. The bleeds that she does are instant bleeds and will not count towards any node or ability that interacts with debuffs. Now, since Fixit is a global defender, whenever he uses a special attack, I do get that unsteady debuff which causes my hits to glance, and also if I have any debuffs on me, I have a chance to glance on my attacks. But since I'm only hitting into his block, he's not gaining that much power, which means he can't spam those specials either, so the node basically doesn't do much. He only got to use that single special one here in this whole fight, and he's gonna go down while I'm still at full HP. Also, if you wanted to, you could also play these fights by building up her bulwark buffs as well, which gives her a chance, or rather increases her chance to shrug non-damaging debuffs and play around the global that way. Usually that's not necessary like we saw there, but it is something you can do. Next up we have a Doctor Doom on the Hazard Shift Incinerate and Shock node, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie, and the game plan is basically the same as it was for the previous fight. I'm only gonna be hitting into Doom's block, because the Hazard Shift debuffs do not trigger on blocked hits, so I am safe from that. However, there is one small issue, and that is the fact that you can't remove those prowess passives by only hitting into the opponent's block, and each of those prowesses increase the opponent's special attack damage by 50%, and that just means that you don't want to try eating a special. Even just getting cleared by the last hit of a special one here would probably be more than enough to take me down, and for that reason, while yes, Valkyrie is a great option for this node, I can't really recommend her against opponents whose special ones are even slightly tricky to dex. Now, another thing that makes this fight a little bit more annoying is the fact that Doctor Doom gains his aura with his special one, which just means that you need to dance around for a few seconds until it drops off. Any contact with Doctor Doom while the aura is up has a chance to nullify your buffs, which feeds MD, meaning he's gonna use more specials. It inflicts a shock debuff on you, which deals damage and also allows Doctor Doom to just walk up to you and Doom slap you. And that's not really something you wanna deal with. Now that I got my special 2, the fight is basically over. And that Fury passive is massive, and it just allows her to hit so hard through the block that she just melts opponents. And it's so satisfying to pull off, especially in Alliance War. Oh, and just to note, I did use an invulnerability boost for the previous fight, just to make sure if I did get clipped by a special I would not die because of it. Here we have a Tigra on the power snack and one too many hits nodes, and I'm taking it with Omega Sentinel, starting with the heal block debuff mode active. The plan with that was to start the fight with a double medium to inflict a heal block to shut down any willpower healing, then drop a heavy attack to switch to the tracking debuff mode, get that up to completely bypass Tigra's miss mechanic, and then just spam heavies for the rest of the fight to keep the debuffs paused and do my damage that way. Now at this point I am panicking a bit since Tigra is not using a special 2 and she's pushing me very close to my own side of the screen. I can dex the special 2 in my corner, but I am not consistent at it and it's not something I wanna even attempt in Alliance War. So I did get a bit lucky there that she actually did throw it before getting cornered. Now I just need to cycle back to the tracking debuff mode, get it up, and then drop my special 2 to get a couple incinerates going. I did take some power sting damage there, but that's fine. At this point I just want out of this fight as soon as I possibly can, so I'm just spamming heavies to try to keep those debuffs paused, dexing specials whenever I can, and just doing my best to get out of here, because I really don't wanna die to a Tigra, especially with Omega Sentinel, because my last and only death in the past 4 seasons, I believe, was against an Ebony Maw with Omega Sentinel. I did get the solo here, but if I ever have to take that fight again, I'm definitely gonna be using recoil masteries to speed up the fight, because the longer you're in it, the scarier it gets. Then we have another Valkyrie fight, a Black Cat on the Ebb and Flow intercept node, and with Valkyrie here, the game plan is a bit different than the previous ones. Instead of only hitting the opponent's block, I will hit Black Cat directly to ramp up my buffs faster, and instead of only building up my pierce buffs, I will also get a couple bulwarks up to increase my shrug off chance, just to try and shrug off that sabotage debuff that she will eventually place on me. Now as for the Ebb and Flow intercept node, I'm basically gonna ignore it for most of the fight, because if I try to intercept Black Cat while she has those combo shield charges still up, she has a chance to evade, and I'd just rather not even give her a chance to do that and mess me up. So I'm just gonna keep hitting her like normal, getting my openings from parries and punishing specials until the last combo shield falls off. Now that it's down, I can go for an intercept to remove the protection and then nuke her down with another special 2 into the block. Now I did get a little bit unlucky here since the sabotage debuff did not get shrugged off, but at the same time I did also get a little bit lucky that it didn't, since it did allow me to heal right back up to full HP with willpower. Next up we have a Longshot on the Ebb and Flow intercept and mighty charge nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, starting with the heal block debuff mode active. And just like Tigra before, this guy gave me a bit of a scare by not using specials, but other than that the fight didn't go that bad. Now the game plan here is to just take him down slowly but surely with basic attacks. I will go for intercepts whenever I get a chance to do so, to remove the protection, to speed up the fight, but it's not gonna be a fast one regardless. Generally speaking, Omega Sentinel is a very good option for Longshot because of her immunity to Nullify and Fate Seal. That means Longshot won't be able to nullify any of your buffs, and the special 2 on Longshot also will not be able to inflict any of those passive incinerates on you, since that requires the Fate Seal aspect of the special 2 to actually work. The biggest threat with Longshot here is his special 3, and he did get dangerously close to it, but luckily he threw that special 2 while I was already cornered, just like the Tigra did before. I got up to my special 3 and I just decided to throw it, but before doing so I did land an intercept to remove the protection, just to get the most out of it. It was unnecessary, it wasn't needed at all, but I figured why not. Then I got lucky and he didn't dash at me straight after my special 3, and the Incinerate debuffs got to do a lot of damage before he finally removed them with Mighty Charge, but at that point all it took was one more hit to finish him off. Probably should have used Recall Master Race for that one as well, but I'll remember that for the next time. Next up we have a thing on the Ebb and Flow Intercept and Mighty Charge nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie, and this one is a fun one. The game plan is to just play aggressively, build up Purus buffs, get them as special 2s, drop them into the block, and just watch him melt. Since my Valkyrie is SIG 200, all it takes is a single Purus buff to completely bypass Unstoppable. It's not an ability accuracy reduction, you don't remove the Unstoppable effect, you simply just don't care about it, and it works against any nodes, any opponents, any Unstoppable effects, and it's awesome. Valkyrie just does not care, and her damage output is also pretty damn good, as you can see. This rank 4 thing didn't survive long enough for me to even get to my second special 2 before he dropped. And Valkyrie is still at full HP, not a single point of damage taken, after 4 fights. I'm honestly having way too much fun with her. Next up we have a Bishop on the Safeguard miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. Yep, I only had one Tigra fight this war, and I could have brought a different counter for this Bishop, but hey, if I get an excuse to use Tigra, I'm gonna take it. The game plan is to bait and punish his heavy attacks with my heavy, drop big special 2s, and as for special attacks from Bishop, I'm only gonna be baiting his special 2s as well. Mainly because the special 1 is extremely annoying with the steady release passive he gets. Tigra has no way around those Incinerate debuffs, so it's just not something I really wanna deal with. Now I did mess up the fight a little bit by messing up my first special 2. Bishop avoided the first part of it, but even then, another special 2 and he's down. A very good fight. Usually I mess up against Bishop, but this time I did it pretty well. Well, when I say mess up, I mean like getting hit. I didn't get hit, so it was fine. Anyways, now for the final fight of this war, we have a Modok on the Stunning Reflection miniboss node, and I'm taking it with Valkyrie. The game plan here is to just hit in the Modok's block for the whole fight, and that's about it. But since I did have the advanced power boost still active, I decided to go for a bulwark buff here by finishing a combo into his block with a light attack to invert my combo, and then drop a special 1 to escape out of it without being punished. Inverting my combo there allowed me to gain a bulwark buff, and with Valkyrie at SIG 200, she goes completely stun immune with just a single bulwark. So now, if I accidentally parry Modok, I will not get stunned, and he basically doesn't do anything at this point. I will just keep hitting into his block, I will do some decent damage that way, I will also gain power by doing so, but one thing that I did not realize before actually doing the fight is that Modok's ability to interact with power gain effects passively also reduces Valkyrie's power gain on blocked hits, and that makes the fight take a lot longer than you normally would see these fights taking. Also, if you look closely, whenever I tried to punish his special ones, my power was being drained. And that is because Modok's special one reverses any healing and power gain for the duration of the special, and that effect carries over for a tiny bit after the special animation. So, after I noticed that, or realized it in the middle of the fight, I stopped punishing the special like we see here, and instead I just wait out the animation and get an opening to hit into his block some other time. This fight is taking pretty long, and that is mainly due to the power gain reduction Modok does passively just by existing. So if I were to do this fight again, I would not go for the special one to get the bulwark up, and instead just keep raising that special too. I don't really need the bulwark since I'm pretty confident I won't ever parry accidentally on a fight like this, so that is definitely what I would do next time I'm taking this fight. On another note, that was 5 fights with Valkyrie without using a single health potion or regen boost on her, and she finished all her fights without taking a single point of damage. As for the results, I'm gonna have to pause here for a little bit to explain what happened. So we ended up tying the war 6-6 with the exact same attack bonuses, defender diversity, exploration, everything like that. And since Kabam introduced fight duration as the tiebreaker, we should have won this war, as our time was faster. But instead, they gave the win to DSVG for some reason. I have no idea how or why that happened, but apparently it was a bug that also affected other alliances as well. So, a great start for the season. I'm very interested in seeing how or if they fix this, because losing the first war of the season, especially on a war that you should have won, is horrible, and it can potentially ruin our entire season. So fingers crossed this actually gets corrected. So yeah, first war of the season, we lost a win, but at the very least I didn't die, so a deathless start is always a great start.